Now let's dive into Module 2 and learn more about officer certification. First, we are going to take a look at certification requirements, eligibility, and the process.
Hello, my name is Hanya Bluestone, and I have served as one of the 9 Post Commissioners since the inception of Post in April 2021. I appreciate the opportunity to tell you a little about myself and discuss the experience and knowledge that I bring to the Commission. I am a licensed psychologist who has spent most of my career working with law enforcement and the legal system as a forensic mental health evaluator in the courts of Central Massachusetts. Since 2016, I have served as the CEO of Labyrinth Psychological Services, a behavioral health practice in Holden that provides specialized trauma treatment and other mental health services to first responders and the greater community. A major part of my role at Post is to share my perspective on how the stressors of your job can impact your mental and physical health, and how we can improve the resources and systems of support to promote officer wellness. Throughout your career in law enforcement, you may face situations or critical incidents that can cause stress and affect you physically, emotionally, and socially. Post understands the demands of your job and appreciates the commitment and sacrifice of law enforcement officers across the Bay State. We know that the majority of officers perform their jobs well. We believe that the health and well-being of officers is critical to our shared goal of building healthier and safer communities. The Division of Police Certification and the Municipal Police Training Committee have established minimum certification standards for all officers that include the successful completion of a physical and psychological fitness evaluation that is approved by the Commission. As we look at the Division of Certification in Module 2, we will discuss requirements and initial certification, minimum certification standards, who is eligible for certification, the recertification process and timeline, and the Law Enforcement Agency portal, which is used by agencies to submit recertification applications on behalf of officers. In the second part of Module 2, we will cover specific certification or recertification statuses, including full certification, conditional certification, or declining to grant full certification status. Thank you, and let's begin Module 2.
We will go over requirements for certification, initial certification, minimum certification standards, certification eligibility, the recertification process and timeline, the Law Enforcement Agency portal, and exceptions to certification. Post and the MPTC work together to establish certification requirements. Certification is required for appointment or employment as an officer by a law enforcement agency. All individuals who completed an approved training program and were employed as Massachusetts law enforcement officers on July 1st, 2021 were automatically certified by statute, but they had staggered expiration dates based on last names. We will talk more about that later. Once an officer is certified, their certification lasts for 3 years, at which point it will need to be renewed if they choose to continue serving as a law enforcement officer. Here you will see a partial list of the minimum certification standards that were developed by Post and MPTC. Minimum standards include attaining the age of 21, achieving a high school education or equivalent, completion of the basic training program approved by the Municipal Police Training Committee, completion of a physical and psychological fitness evaluation, passing a state and national background check, and passing an examination approved by the Commission. Let's look at the next page for the remaining standards. The remaining standards include possession of current first aid and cardiopulmonary resuscitation certificates or the equivalent, successful completion of an oral interview administered by the Commission, and lastly, being of good moral character and fit for employment in law enforcement as determined by the Commission. Here you will see a list of those eligible for officer certification. This includes new candidate hires who are attending, scheduled to attend, or recently graduated from an MPTC-operated or authorized basic training academy. Also eligible are new hires that have completed basic training and have worked as police officers, but were not employed as police officers in Massachusetts on July 1st, 2021, meaning they were not initially certified by statute. Special state police officers are also eligible. As mentioned, all officers who completed an approved training program and were employed as police officers in Massachusetts on July 1st, 2021, were certified by statute and were scheduled for recertification in 3 groups based on the officer's last name. Officers with last names beginning with A through H were recertified in 2022. I through P names are being recertified in 2023, and those with last names Q through Z will be recertified in 2024. Upon recertification, the certification is valid for 3 years, at which point they can apply for recertification. Let's discuss this further. The recertification process is governed by the recertification regulations and is based on these principles. First, agencies apply for recertification on behalf of officers. Second, agencies utilize a questionnaire to conduct an oral interview. Interviews are conducted through the chiefs or their designees. Lastly, the head of the agency makes or declines to make an attestation to the good moral character and fitness for duty as a law enforcement officer for each individual officer. In the case of the chief, their appointing authority makes the attestation for them. The Law Enforcement Agency portal was launched in May 2023 to serve as a one-stop shop for law enforcement agency authorized users, which are typically the chief of police or members of the command staff. Currently, the portal serves as a way for agencies to submit officer recertification applications. Soon, Post will launch new features that will allow agencies to submit complaints, disciplinary information, and other reports to Post. Certification notification decisions are sent directly to officers. Post asks for officers to provide a work email address as well as a physical mailing address or personal email address so that Post can reach them with time-sensitive notices if needed. In addition to being sent to the individual officer, time-sensitive notices are also sent to the officer's chief and head of bargaining unit. Additionally, it is important to note that Post verifies training compliance with the MPTC before recertification decisions are issued. Now we are going to talk about denial of certification and conditional certifications. We will discuss conditional certification, denial of certification, also known as not certified, and possible action following a decision from the Division of Certification. Initial determinations by the Division of Certification after an officer applies for certification or recertification may include granting a full certification, a conditional, limited, or restricted certification, or a denial of certification. The denial is distinct from decertification, does not preclude reapplying, and does not preclude that person from civilian work at a law enforcement agency. So what is a conditional certification? Officers may be conditionally certified if they are deficient in certification requirements, whether it's a work requirement associated with the Bridge Academy, in-service training, current CPR or first aid certificate, or completion of high school education or equivalent. The officer must complete these requirements within the time period specified on the conditional certification notice. Please note that officers on approved or extended leave must complete their certification requirements no later than 90 days after the date of their return to active service. What is a denial of recertification or the not certified status mean? If an officer does not meet the requirements for certification in the time given, the officer may be categorized as not certified. Please note that being classified as not certified is different from being decertified. An officer who is not certified has some recourse, while decertification is career-ending. If the decision provides for anything other than full recertification, the officer can seek review by the Commission Executive Director. Following a denial of certification or conditional certification, possible action can be taken by the officer. Let's talk more about this. The officer can ask for a review by the executive director, who will make a decision within 21 days. To do this, officers must submit a written petition requesting review of their decision. The executive director or a designee shall provide the officer and the officer's employing agency with a written decision on the petition within a reasonable time period. The officer has other recourse in the event they want to appeal the executive director's decision, and they may request a hearing before the commission concerning their application for certification or recertification. There are a few possible outcomes following an executive director review or commission hearing. If a decision to recertify is vacated, the officer shall be deemed to have been certified during the period between the decision to recertify and the decision to vacate. If an officer has received a decision denying a full recertification, the commission may attach limitations, conditions, or restrictions on the officer's ability to reapply.